At 6:30, we'll begin the work-study session meeting, starting with officials' reports. Mr. Mayor, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Last week, the city of Southgate hosted the 37th Downriver Senior Olympics. This was the 5th time we have hosted the games, which is more than any other Downriver community. A special acknowledgement to our senior coordinator, Diane Grabowski, and Parks and Rec Director, Julie Goddard, for once again coordinating this weekly event. Southgate received numerous compliments from the other communities at the Unity Banquet on Friday. Senior Olympics were a great time for all the participants and spectators. Of the 18 communities participating, Southgate ranked second in overall medal count, with 56 being awarded to our residents. Let's congratulate everybody. To my knowledge, I think this is the first time that we came in second place with all those communities. So together, our seniors earned 25 gold, 17 silver, and 14 bronze medals. These were fantastic results and represented a 20% increase over last year's medal count. Congratulations to all of our Team Southgate members and those who brought home a medal as well. And congratulations to our own Councilman Karen George. Made a few friends along the way. And if you haven't tried your hand in competing during the Senior Olympics, there's definitely time to start training before next year's games in Lincoln Park. That competition will take place in 350 days. Okay. This afternoon, our Southgate Police Department hosted the first of 2 backpack giveaways this month for our school-aged children. Today's event was held in front of our police station. It was sponsored by the Detroit Rescue Mission Ministries and Wayne County. Riverview Police Department was also present to help with the distribution to the students. Over 500 backpacks filled with school supplies were distributed from 2 to 5 p.m. Actually, it only lasted till about 3:30 before they were gone. The second giveaway will be hosted again by our police department on Tuesday, August 26th, starting at 3 p.m. The event was organized by our police officers, Sergeant Murphy and Officer Stein and Parrish. They coordinated a school supply drive at the Southgate Kroger on August 17th and have been busy stuffing nearly 400 backpacks for this second giveaway. The City of Southgate also received donations from Walmart, Kroger, and Sam's Club. Again, if families missed today's event, the second backpack distribution will take place on Tuesday, August 26th at 3 p.m. while supplies last. Special thanks to our Southgate Police Department and all of the sponsors who made this possible. It's a great way to have our young students begin the new school year. On Saturday, August 23rd, from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., Wayne County Department of Public Services will be holding another hazardous waste household hazardous waste collection event. This one will be at the Westland Shopping Center parking lot. Acceptable items include household paint, antifreeze, motor oil, dry cell batteries, glues and polishes, and electronic devices. For a complete list of acceptable items, please visit their website, which is www.waynecounty.com. If Westland is too far and you have time to wait, there is another hazardous waste collection at the Taylor campus of the Wayne County Community College on Saturday, October 11th. That's the last they'll have for the season. This is a very responsible way to dispose of these hazardous items, so please take advantage of one of these events so that these items do not end up in our landfills. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mayor. Madam Clerk, any report?
Yes, actually, I have something. The Southgate Historical Foundation held a centennial celebration of the Grail House this past weekend. As chairman of the foundation, I would like to thank Mayor Cuspa, Kim Cuspa, Dr. Darlene Pomponio, Mary Ann Graham, Tom Lewis, Jason Reese, Tom Lee, Maria Graziani, and Brenda Presnell for their assistance. Nancy Gratz wrote a lovely story about the Grail House. It was very touching. And also Councilwoman George, I'd like to thank her for attending. It was a great time for everyone. Also, on an election note, A recent election law change allows cities to increase the number of active registered voters per precinct, and we were able to consolidate the number of precincts from 11 precincts down to 5. The voting locations will be 2 precincts at Garish, or the new Asher location, 2 precincts at Davidson, and 1 at the Civic Center. Every registered voter will be mailed a new voter information card, and they should receive it like within a week or 2. This precinct consolidation will be in effect for the local election, which is scheduled for Tuesday, November 4th, just around the corner. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Treasurer, any report?
No report, thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Erich,
No report, thank you.
Councilman Roush.
I don't have a report, but we were contacted, Dan, the replay of the council meetings, is it on YouTube?
Yes.
Someone just said that the last few, it's been harder to hear, so I don't know if there's something we can adjust on our end, but the last few that they had to replay, they said that it was hard for them to hear it.
Okay, good to know. We'll take a look at that.
Yep. Okay, thank you. Councilwoman George?
Thank you. I would also like to mention the Olympics, and a special thank you to Julie Goddard and Dee Grabowski and their staff, especially their staff. The opening day was so hot, and they were constantly putting up chairs, some type of overhead shade, and lots and lots and lots of water. And also, we have several Olympians in the audience tonight. Val Bojanowski was there. She was there. And also, she was there. She competed. Thank you for being a participant. And also in the audience, Jill and Andy Steffen got a bronze for the bicycling event that they had.
All right.
Thank you for participating. I got really so many compliments on us being such a wonderful host city. It was a hot day, and I know that they were just constantly running with the water and all the complaints that we were giving to them. But again, thank you, thank you. And too, because we had hosted it for the 2nd year in a row, so it was an additional burden. And I think we kind of had a record turnout at the luncheon on Friday, the awards banquet. Anyway, it was a busy week, a hot week, and a fun week, and many friendships were renewed that day or that week. I would like to again thanks the DDA and the Case Commission for a successful summer concert series despite the heat and a little bit of rain. The last concert last night had to be canceled because of the rain. But overall, it was a very enjoyable summer concert series. The Case Commission will meet September 16th. The Commission on Aging meeting will be Thursday, September 5th at noon at the Senior Center. And I would like to wish everybody a happy and a safe Labor Day. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Eric.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This month's planning meeting was canceled due to there was information that still needed to be submitted. So we'll be meeting again in September. So I'll have an update for you then. Thanks.
Councilman Gog?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Downtown Development Authority did not meet yet this month, but as we have our meeting later on this month, I'll be sure to report on that in September. And then I would also like to talk about the, what I call the Special Olympics. I was talking to a few folks in the morning of the opening ceremony, and they kept trying to explain to their daughter what they were doing, the Senior Downriver Olympics, and they kept calling it the Special Olympics. And I said, well, that's really appropriate that you guys can meet once a year with all your friends and do the same activities that you've been doing all your life. And so it really was a special day for those folks that were able to attend. We had over 350 people that participated. And if you want to join next year, it doesn't all have to be athletic competition. There's things such as billiards, euchre, pinochle, baking, all different categories that you can compete in and win a medal at and enjoy the camaraderie of all your friends. So, thank you so much.
Thank you. For discussion of the agenda items, Mr. Marsh?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening. Under scheduled persons in the audience, we have a couple residents from the Waverly Sub here to discuss the residents' rear yard fences that back up to Reek Road. Per the council rules, they'll have 3 minutes to present, but I understand that they do have a presentation, and they are here now. So if council does have any questions at the end of the work study agenda, if you have any questions you'd like them to present early, they would be available to do that. Under Communications A, the first item is the purchase of fire reporting software called Image Trend for the fire department. The department had previously been provided the software at no charge from the state, but the state's no longer providing that service. So due to the department's familiarity with Image Trend, we're recommending that that purchase be approved. And also by approving that purchase, all reporting, both EMS and fire, will be done under the same system. Are there any questions from council on that item? Next under Communications A is the approval of water main relocation. After the final location of the bridge abutments this is at the Southgate Park and Power Project. After the final bridge abutments were set, it was determined that the position of those abutments were conflicting with a water main. So at the time of that relocation, the city did not have an extension of the project timeline from the county. So in order to not create an additional delay, RJJ, who's performed emergency work in the past, was scheduled to move that water main. Are there any questions from council on that item? Okay, seeing none. Next is a request for the purchase of benches for outside the library. While the city is requesting to waive the bid, the benches are available under a Sourcewell contract. And for those not familiar, Sourcewell is a cooperative purchasing company. They go out to bid for various items, products and services. They establish low prices, and then member communities can take advantage of those low bids. The purchase of the benches was specifically included in the library budget, and that budget was also presented to the Library Commission. Are there any questions from council? Okay, seeing none. Next are the requests for public hearings regarding the demolition of 3 properties that were reviewed by the Dangerous Buildings Board. The properties are 15361 Flanders, 13581 Edison, and 13567 Edison. The latter two are were associated with the April house explosion, and in both those cases, the property owners are in the process of getting companies to finish the demolition and clear up the sites. Are there any questions from council on those
Mr.
items?
Chair, would that be in one motion, or will we have to make 3 different motions?
Yeah, there's actually 3 separate motions for that one. One for, to establish a public hearing for each of those 3 addresses. So lastly, you've been provided with a letter I had dropped off there. We're recommending to amend the agenda tonight to include the letter that you've been provided. And that letter is regarding repealing Council Resolution number 111-25, which was to establish a public hearing for the TIFA renewal. Tonight, we're asking that we would repeal that motion, repeal that resolution, and establish a new public hearing on October 1st for the TIFA document number 10 review. This extension is needed to allow us timely notification to all the addresses within the TIFA district. So every single address in the TIFA district will get notification of that public hearing. We want to make sure that we don't miss anyone. Are there any questions from council on that item? Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from the council regarding the Waverly subdivision?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Gog?
seeing that they only have 3 minutes to present during the regular meeting, Mr. Marsh thought it might be an idea for them to present some of the information to us now while we have 15 minutes if the board or council approves.
I say, go ahead. I mean, at least gives them their time that they want.
Okay, does anybody have any issue with that?
No?
No.
All right. Mr. Burns, if you're here, whenever you're ready, you can proceed. Oh, Mr. Sturgeon here on behalf, okay. Oh, okay. I apologize.
Yes. What did you get? Sorry,
Good evening. My name's Max Sturgeon. You can immediately tell I don't have a Michigan accent. Sorry about that. But my wife and I moved into Waverly subdivision a little bit less than 4 years ago, and we love it in Southgate here. But the purpose of what I want to talk to you about is I've been selected by a lot of people that are out here from Waverly about the fence on Reek Road and how it's unsafe and that it's a tremendous eyesore. So there is, as you guys well know, Reek Road is turning into more and more of a traffic path throughway for people that are going over to I-75 from Eureka, or they're going to the YMCA and so forth. And there's probably 100 cars or more that drive up and down Reek Road every day. And there's 200 residents in Waverly subdivision, and we all drive by that fence pretty much every day. So my goal is to jointly solve this problem because this fence was built by the builder over 50 years ago. I think it was 53 years. And it looks like no one has done any maintenance on it in 53 years. So I'd like to try to solve that problem. Now, we got some pictures, just in case anybody doesn't know what the fence looks like. I'll keep that one out. But if you guys would pass that around, while I talk about it. So the fence is 956 feet long. It's a long fence. It runs the whole Waverly subdivision on that side. It's chain link with faded red, white, metal privacy slats, and they're faded and they're popping out. There's probably close to 100 privacy slats sticking out of the fence, very close to the sidewalk. So it's a safety hazard. They're open, they're rusty, and they're dirty metal privacy slats. Approximately 100, I already said that, I'm sorry. Also, it's completely detached along the bottom of the fence. You know, string trimmers, animals. It's just been torn loose over 50 years, which are more slats sticking out. Now, the fence on the north end, up right where the entrance to Waverly subdivision is off Reef Road, is not even attached to the upper cross member of the fence. It's just sitting there hanging. So aesthetically, it's a major eyesore besides being a safety hazard. Now, what abutments to the fence? On the east side, the back of the yard of 15 Waverly subdivision houses. 14 of those 15 houses over the last 50 years, and probably more than once, you know, I don't know the history of the last 50 years, but have erected some type of fence on their property. But none of them ever touched that red and white striped fence. It just stayed there. None of the houses replaced the fence. None of the houses repaired the fence. 7 of the 15 houses along that fence have erected some type of temporary or permanent blind, trees, bamboo, and those kinds of things to hide the ugliness of that fence. Now, on the west side, the city maintains an easement of trees, grass, plants, and a sidewalk. And if you look at the pictures, you can see the sidewalk is probably about 6 inches from the fence. And the fence probably sticking things out 3 inches. So to me, it's an accident waiting to happen. And I feel like no one feels responsible for the fence in 53 years. I had an email exchange last year with Mr. Marsh and myself, and, you know, he indicated that it was being looked into and that the homeowners can remove the slats, homeowners can build a fence on the inside of the fence, but the fences are the responsibility of the property. I don't think the owners know that. I don't think anybody knows it. It's just there. And then he said, you know, the owners, therefore, this would not be a project that would lead the city to create a special assessment district. And he also mentioned forming an HOA. So the gist of it is if something isn't done about that fence, I don't think the homeowners are going to do it. Many of them are elderly, and they've already got their fence, and they've already got their backyard established. We're going to be talking about this, I probably won't be around, but another 20 years from now. So you guys have done a great job on the playgrounds, the parks, the roads, and it's really lifted the spirit of, I love living in Southgate. Ms. Burns put there's a website, we all have to deal with social media anymore, some of us don't like it, including me. She put a posting about this fence on the Facebook page. We have a little group for Waverly subdivision. And over the past 6 days, there's been over 50 positive likes or comments about us doing something about that fence. There's only 200 residents there and 50 people commented on it. None of them were saying, oh, don't worry about the fence, it's fine. So there's a strong consensus among the homeowners. There's a lot of people from Waverly that are out there that, that we've been having. I've only lived here a little bit less than 4 years, but anytime you end up talking to your neighbor and you meet him, you end up talking about that fence. There's been a whole lot of informal meetings. One of the homeowners went and got an estimate to replace the fence. They have a friend who works for a fence company. For me, I was looking at Google and I thought, well, it's this long and you get a nice fence, it's going to cost this much. The homeowner of what I thought it would be based on B estimate. So I don't know how to fix the problem. I don't know how the city works on these kinds of things or not. I've read through some of your minutes from the previous meetings. I have attended city council meetings in other cities years ago. But I think that this fence needs to be replaced, and I don't think it needs to be the responsibility of the 15 homeowners. It's not going to get done. So I'd like to suggest that we assign a champion, somebody to work with us, because it looks like most of the minutes that are put in, somebody is sponsoring it and has a work group and they come up with recommendations and then it comes in for approval. So I don't know if that'd be a grant, other funds in the budget, or any other ideas. But I'd like to strongly suggest that let's solve the safety and eyesore problem before it turns more ugly and turns more dangerous. Let's solve the safety and eyesore problem. Let's not try to describe why it can't be done, because it could be.
Thank you, Mr. Sturgeon. Ms. Burns, did you have anything to add to that? Please go ahead.
Okay, my name is Pat Burns. I've lived in the subdivision, Waverly subdivision, for 46 years. I love Southgate. I love what Southgate has done to the playgrounds, to the parks, to the flowers out in the North Line medians. I love that. Waverly subdivision, we're all so proud of our neighborhood. We've had very little crime where we live. And I remember 46 years ago, people were dying to get into that subdivision. I mean, they loved it. In fact, I'm the third owner. And I kept hoping it would come available because I wanted in that subdivision. And I still want to live there. But 53 years for a fence is a little ridiculous. I go by there, Rick Road, every day. And I see families with little kids on their tricycles and on their bicycles. And I see some of the kids going like this across the fence like they do when they get their hand and they go across the fence. I'm afraid one of them's going to get cut really bad. Myself, I cannot take a tetanus shot. Now, I'm not going to do that, but some people can't take tetanus shots. So what do you do if you get a metal rusted, cut? Who's going to take care of that? It needs to be fixed. We're not wanting a big gold fence. We just want a fence that's safety. That's what we're wanting. And we need help because we're elderly. We live on Social Security. A lot of us, we can't put a fence up. We don't want to be an association. We don't like associations. Some have that, we don't. And I agree with Max. I do not feel the homeowners, any of the homeowners in that subdivision, should be responsible to put that fence up. Edward Rose put that fence up a long time ago when the subdivision was built. They have not maintained it. Nobody's maintained it, like Max said. I mean, they're sticking out. If you'd have to get out and walk by it to see what we're talking about, the pictures don't even do it justice. So we're mainly stressing on safety. And then, of course, eyesore. We'd like people to come down Rick Road because Southgate is nice. And they go to Sam's and they go to Walmart, and they go to the YMCA. And it's awful looking. So any way you could help us would be greatly appreciated, but I don't want it on the homeowners. It shouldn't be that way. The city should help us. I know you put a new park in our Waverly subdivision because it was unsafe. And dangerous for the kids. Now, a lot of kids are going up there and playing, having a good old time.
Mr. Chair, I have a couple of answers that council can ponder before the meeting. Didn't mean to I don't know, for 3 minutes while they were up, but if she has anything to continue, but I can offer a couple of suggestions for those of you who are relatively new to council or unaware of what happened. The city actually prosecuted one individual back in 1991. My office was the prosecutor then for the slats in the fence, not maintaining the fence behind the house because it got into the same disarray, and that individual had to pay for the cleanup and the repair of the fence. Secondly, it's not municipal property. The city doesn't have anything other than a directive but to make it safe, and I'm certain the city doesn't want to instruct the building department or the police department to issue tickets to the homeowners who abut the fence to fix the fence. You can do that, or you may look at another option. Mr. Leach would have to meet with the engineer to see if there's a possibility of removing the slats and having a fence, or whether the fence is still necessary today. It was part of the original subdivision plan, but the state law prohibits expenditure of municipal funds to benefit purely private property, particularly when it's under an original land agreement and a planning agreement. That's been the problem all along, which is why Mr. Marsh suggested a homeowners association. You'll recall that a few years back, we had the same problem with other developments where they didn't finish putting in sewers or roads or retention pond, and how the city brought it down to bear on the successors when the developer just disappeared. So this is a continuing problem, and unfortunately, because it's 1968, you're talking almost 60 years that this happened when the agreement was passed by the Planning Commission. The last prosecution was 1991. Other than the city giving the pertinent homeowners a citation because there's no homeowner association for maintaining an awful fence that's sticking out, right now the city has no authority to do anything to go in and tear it down. They can't enter upon private property to correct the fence. It's like a tree that's on private property. You can't exercise any egregious powers. It doesn't co-locate on a municipal property. So you do have limited options. They raise a good point. They're absolutely correct. Your options are limited, and I think you all know that today the options of grants and funding is also limited. So there are two things the engineer and the building department should think over and discuss with the administration. One is the removal of slats. Two would be the removal of the fence, whether it's still necessary, since that time requirement in 1968 is long past. And then finally, the suggestion today of a homeowners association might be your only resolution if you want to keep a fence and you want to put a new fence, because then you do an assessment, just like doing condominium projects or other things.
They need privacy back there, those back 15 homes back there. They want privacy off Rick Road because then you'll start getting crime if you don't have a fence up. So you have to have a fence. And that one needs torn down and a new one up. That's what we're asking for, help. A grant would be great, would be wonderful. There are people in there that do rent. I don't know how many, but there are some that do rent. They don't own a home. You're not going to get any money out of them. It's just a bad situation.
But, Mr. Chair, the unfortunate thing is the way you would pull the pin on the hand grenade to get things going is to cite the homeowners for not maintaining a fence behind their house that abuts the property. And that's not the right thing to do here.
No,
because
it's
these
not.
people,
You're right.
That's right. That's. Wait, let me finish my statement. And that would be the way to get the attention of the homeowners, the 15 who abut the fence. So the city's in a quandary because you can't give the money to these folks to fix it. It's private property. They have to improve their private property. And they might be the successor owners of the original subdivision, but that's something that runs with the land just as this agreement does, and it requires them to put the fence there and presumably maintain. So I would suggest that council and the mayor direct the engineer to meet with the building department and the assessor to see where the line falls, where the fence is, and what other prospects might be. One would certainly be if the fence is unsafe, someone should take it down. Right now, it's a hazard, and if someone were injured, the homeowner directly behind the property would be the one sued. If a child cut its finger, the homeowner would be sued. And Mr. Chair, and the council understands the Home Rule Act, you can't absorb the liability or the potential of private property interests here. So your options indeed are limited, and it results in you exploring the potentials. And just note that the one time it was brought to the attention of the city, they gave a citation to the homeowner. That's not what the city apparently would do at this time. They're just stir a bigger pot. They brought it to your attention now that there's a problem.
Thank you, Mr. Zelenik. And I will note that we only have a minute left in the work study. You'll have If anybody from the Waverly subdivision or Ms. Burns, yourself want to continue, there's an opportunity after, for unscheduled persons in the audience to address the council. And I know that email exchange took place about a year ago. Mr. Marsh, if you have anything to add, or was it covered by Mr. Zelenik?
Perhaps during the
Covered.
meeting.
All right, that'll do it for the work study session meeting. We'll jump right back into the regular meeting in a second. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilman Cuspa is excused. Councilman Rausch.
Yes, here.
Councilman Ayers Reese.
Present.
Councilman Golick.
Here.
Councilman Erich.
Present.
Councilman George.
Here.
Councilman Graziani.
Present. Is there a motion to approve the work study meeting minutes from last meeting?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilwoman George,
I'd like to make a motion to approve the work-study meeting minutes dated August 6, 2025.
Support.
motion by George, supported by Ayers Reese. Any discussion or objection? Seeing none, the motion carries. Is there a motion to approve the regular city council meeting minutes from last meeting?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Roush,
I make a motion we approve the regular city council meeting dated August 6, 2025.
Support.
motion by Roush, supported by Ayers Reese. Discussion or objection? Seeing none, the motion carries. Is there a motion to amend the agenda to add the repeal of resolution number 11125?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Golick,
I'll make a motion to amend our agenda and add item number 5 to repeal council resolution number 111-25.
support. Motion by Golick, supported by Roush. Any discussion or objection? Seeing none, the motion carries. That'll drop down to item number 5 under Communications A. There's nothing under consideration of bids or scheduled hearings. Move on to Communications A. Item 1 is a letter from the mayor regarding purchase of fire reporting software. Madam Clerk.
I have reviewed the above and concur with the fire chief's recommendation to waive the bid and purchase Image Trend reporting software in the amount of $7,550. This purchase will allow the city to combine all fire and EMS incident reporting on a single platform. The fire department is familiar with Image Trend as it was previously provided to the city at no cost through the state of Michigan. Funds for this purchase are in the fire department budget. Your favorable consideration of this matter is requested.
Pleasure of the council.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Chair,
Councilwoman Erich.
I move that we waive the city bid process and approve the purchase of fire incident reporting software from Image Trend in the amount of $4,750.
Support.
Motion by Erich, supported by Roush. Any discussion or objection? Seeing none, the motion carries. Next up, memo from the administrator regarding approval of water main relocation. Madam Clerk.
As part of the Southgate Tower Park and Bridge project, a portion of a water main had to be relocated to accommodate the foundations of the final location of the pedestrian bridge. RJ&J was selected for the relocation due to time constraints associated with the project, their immediate availability, and past experience safely performing similar work in the city. The total cost of the relocation is $110,162.50, and adequate funds are available in the Water and Sewer Fund.
It's the pleasure of the council.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilwoman George.
I move to approve RJ&J Enterprises of South Rockwood, Michigan for the water main relocation at 16333 Trenton Road in the amount of $110,162.50.
Support.
Motion by George, supported by Golick. Is there any discussion or objection? Seeing none, the motion carries. Next up is a memo from the administrator regarding public hearing requests for demolition of properties. Madam Clerk.
Library.
No,
You missed
number
the-
3. Okay, we'll go back. Letter from the mayor regarding purchase of library outdoor furniture. My apologies, Madam Clerk.
It's okay. I have reviewed the above and concur with the library director's recommendation to purchase outdoor bench furniture from Pintura LLC in the amount of $3,935. These items are available under a Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Contract. Therefore, I recommend waiving the city bid process. Funds for this purchase are in the library fund budget. Your favorable consideration of this matter is requested.
What's the pleasure of the council?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Roush.
I make a motion, we waive the city bid process and approve the purchase of outdoor bench furniture for the Southgate Veterans Memorial Library from Ventura LLC in the amount of $3,935 under the Sourcewell purchasing contract.
Support.
Motion by Roush, supported by George. Any discussion or objection? Seeing none, the motion carries. Now on to the memo from the administrator regarding public hearing requests for the demolition of properties. Madam Clerk.
On August 6, 2025, the Dangerous Buildings Board met to review 15361 Flanders, 13581 Edison, and 13567 Edison. An owner of each property was present at the meeting. The board determined that each property should be demolished within 90 days. The administration recommends public hearings be set for the September 17, 2025 council meeting to discuss the Dangerous Building Board's findings and recommendations. Separate resolutions are requested for each property.
What's the pleasure of the council?
Mr. Chair,
Councilwoman George.
I move to schedule a public hearing at the September 17th, 2025 council meeting to discuss the Dangerous Building Board's recommendation to demolish the house located at 15361 Flanders.
Support.
Motion by George, supported by Harris Reese. Any discussion or objection? Seeing none, the motion carries.
Mr. Chair,
Councilwoman Harris Reese.
make a motion to schedule a public hearing at the September 17th, 2025 council meeting to discuss the Dangerous Building Board's recommendation to demolish the house located at 13581 Edison.
Support.
Motion by Harris Reese, supported by Roush. Any discussion or objection? Seeing none, the motion carries. What about 13567 Edison?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Roush.
I make a motion to schedule a public hearing at the September 17th, 2025 council meeting to discuss the Dangerous Building Board's recommendation to demolish the house located at 13567 Edison.
Support.
Motion by Roush, supported by George. Any discussion or objection? Seeing none, the motion carries. Next up, item number 5, repeal of resolution number 111-25, public hearing for TIFA document number 10. What's the pleasure of the council?
On August 6, 2025, the City Council set a public hearing for TIFA document number 10 of the development plan. The administration requests that the resolution establishing that public hearing be repealed and a new public hearing be set for October 1st, 2025. This change will provide additional time to ensure every address within the district received the required notification of the public hearing.
Pleasure of the council.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Gog.
I'll make a motion to repeal council resolution number 111-25.
Support.
Motion by Gog, supported by George. Any discussion or objection? Seeing none, the motion carries. Nothing under communications. B, or ordinances.
Mr.
Any
Chairman.
We have another motion.
The
There's a
proposed
second
motion.
motion. Oh, okay.
So, Mr. Chair,
Subparts. Councilwoman Harris Reese.
I make a motion to establish a public hearing to take place during a regular city council meeting on October 1st, 2025, to review and take public comment on document 10 of the development plan and tax increment financing plan for the Southgate Tax Increment Financing Authority.
Support.
Motion by Harris Reese, supported by George. Any discussion or objection? Seeing none, the motion carries. Nothing under communications, B, or ordinances. Any old business from the council? Any new business? Any unscheduled persons in the audience? If so, please approach the podium. Please state your name and address. You'll have 2 minutes.
Good evening, my name is Mike Yost, and I live in Waverly Sub. And I just want to add one comment to what has already been said. I've been living there since 1971, one of the original homeowners there. And I don't live on the property that butts the fence, but I'm the next street over. And one of the comments that we had as we were going through the sub and talking to people is the reason we're trying to get this all at once is that we don't want a mishmash of different kind of fences, different colors, and everything else in that stretch of homes. Because there are areas in Southgate that have that, wood fences and cyclone fences, vinyl fences, different colors, and we just kind of want that all uniform. So we thought that we could come and see what services may be available from the city to help us do that. All right?
Makes sense.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else? Please.
It's also in the Waverly sub. I had called the city previously to see whose responsibility it was for that fence and the replacement of it. They said it was the homeowner's responsibility. However, that's a common fence and it doesn't back up to each individual residence. So if somebody wants to replace their fence, they can't without city approval. The city is not going to approve it until everything looks uniform from Superior to the beginning of the sub. So I don't understand how somebody can be responsible for that fence if it's hurting somebody, if it's a common fence and they can't replace it. So I think we just need to work together and have a resolution.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, just to clarify, fences can be replaced. And Mr. Yost raises a good point that you could have like other all across America with everybody picking a different type of fence on their property. And you see it even in local communities here, and that's probably not the best interest. And I suggested the engineer and the building department sit together and see if there's some type of common fence that the homeowners who live along the property could agree to put up, or a different type of chain link fence. That slat process was popular back in the 60s and 70s, and Mr. Yost remembers, and I was serving as counsel to planning commissions in the late 70s, and that's what was popular. That was the design and the de rigueur of development at that time, because this was a good way to do it on the cheap and meet the planning and safety requirements. Things have changed, but this is unlike public property. I don't know that there's any outside funding or help for it available, so there can be a joint solution, but it's still going to fall on the burden of the pertinent property owners.
Would anybody else like to address the council? Please.
My name's David Bogutz. I live We've been in the neighborhood for 35 years. Wonderful neighborhood, great place to be. We all agree the fence is somewhat of an eyesore, and I think as Max has kind of researched, it's an orphan fence. A new subdivision would have had a homeowners association, or a builder would have been responsible in some type of escrow account to maintain a fence of this nature, but it was 1968 and it was overlooked. Obviously, the 15 people that live there would be burdened by having to pay for a fence that benefits the entire subdivision, and that probably won't happen. My question would be, can they put a fence of their own choosing up individually? Or is there a standard within the city that says, this is the look we need to have, from a code ordinance or anything like that?
Want to answer it now, or you want to answer them privately, Mr. Leach? You could meet with them privately and
That's fine.
explain it out through the chair. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, I apologize. To do that to a lawyer.
And the homeowners.
Who's Mr. Leach?
Building director.
Okay, that's what I'm wondering. Is there a code for a fence in a common area like that? So these people would be free to put up any fence they want?
I
Of any
talked to them
style?
after the meeting.
What are the, I guess, what would be the requirements?
Should
So
probably
they,
talk to them.
everybody could replace their own fence at will, wood, vinyl, chain link, pipe? Correct. I just didn't know if there, I didn't know if there was a code enforcement or anything else. In a new subdivision, would that be part of a builder's thing or a homeowner's thing, or? Right. Again, we've kind of fallen through the cracks. I guess the bottom line is the individual homeowners probably don't want to be burdened with it. Is there any, what we're looking for is a champion in the city, because this happened, it is what it is. 15 people are probably not going to change their fence. It's going to stay there. It's going to be an eyesore. I think it doesn't help the tax values of the houses or anything else. We're looking for some help, how to do this. Could there be a special tax increment that somebody could vote on? A tax, whatever, but voted on by people, because nobody wants to see.
appreciate that there's residents here that actually care about the look of the community. They appreciate the neighborhood they live in, and I think that's to be applauded. I think the center of the issue is just a misunderstanding about what's allowed. Mr. Zelnak was describing the responsibility. Cornerstone sub. I'm sure we're familiar with across from Davidson, Trenton Road, across from Garish. And if you look around the city, there's quite a few examples of where there's a subdivision where the developer put in, all the lot lines line up and they put the fence across. Actually, if you even think of your own homes, many of us, your rear yard fence probably goes the length of the street that was put in by the developer. Again, that is the homeowner's responsibility to fix that. In terms of safety, that is a concern, and I think, but again, going back to whose responsibility is that in this case, as I had described in the letter a year ago, this is the homeowner's responsibility to handle that. Obviously, forcing people to do things is not, it's not a nice thing per se, but it does actually happen quite a bit. If there is a property maintenance code violation, the city will force them through citations or through enforcement to fix that issue. I think Mr. Zelnak brought up a case from the 90s where that took place actually on this fence. But even outside of just normal code enforcement, the city has a home sales inspection ordinance where there's an exterior home sales where they look to make sure that all the property is in order. So if there is like a fence like this, or even a common fence in a backyard, if it was in disrepair, that would be something that would be noted in a home sales inspection before the property could be sold.
That only started a couple of years ago.
And that only that's a relatively recent thing, starting I think 2022 is when that actually kind of got rolling there. So I imagine very few of those homes, especially in a desirable neighborhood, have turned over since that time. The issues with taxes about doing a special assessment, that becomes kind of a tricky issue because, again, as Mr. Zelnak had mentioned, is that the city can't use the city funds for a private for private benefit. So essentially, if we were to do a special assessment, the city would pull a bond, we would do the work, and then we would charge the residents for 20 years to pay back that loan. But the city would be the one taking out that loan. And it's just not an appropriate use. If we would do bonds, it would be for something like a roads project, something that is for public use. In this particular case, this would be a private resident's backyard. In terms of what we can do, I think this is a tricky situation. I think once there's an understanding of who's responsible, I think that's going to bring some clarity. We did recommend they can pull the slats. I had a house growing up on McCann. We had slats. We yanked them because kind of similar situation. After about 30 years, they start to get pretty tired. They can pull the slats. I understand that takes away from the privacy, which is desirable for them. That's understandable. They could replace the slats themselves. They could do landscaping. There's a number of things that any property owner could do within their yard. They could, as Mr. Leach said, they could pull a permit and put in a fence. So they can actually fix their portion of that fence if they desire to do so. So there are some options there. I don't think it's exactly what they were looking for tonight, but I think the most important thing is just to understand clarity about what can and can't happen, and so I think that's what I've tried to express here, and I think what Mr. Zelnak has expressed as well.
Thank you, Mr. Marsh. Is there anybody else from the audience? Is he permitted as an unscheduled person? Please, very quick, sir.
Just say it here. Survey wise, do we know that the property line is exactly right? Question number one. Or is it a little bit off? And if it is off, could the fence possibly be on the easement, which the city then would have the responsibility? One more question, then I'll be quiet. If the property line is right, is there any kind of eminent domain that could be done to move the property line
quick three answers to that, unless you have better answers,
go
Mr.
ahead.
Mars. With regard to the eminent domain, the city opens a big ball of wax with that, with also the payment of justification for property taken. But secondly, the argument would be, why aren't you doing that for every other fence at every other fence line that's gone bad throughout the community? On the other hand, if there is a lot line dispute truly on municipal property, it's been there all along, the city could then do a special assessment district. But the interesting thing is, the only people who'd be paying for it are the homeowners. They're the ones who could be benefited or burdened by it, and you'd be assessing just the 15, and I'll bet there isn't one here in the audience today who has a backyard fence full of slats. And that's the sad thing about the project. People justifiably don't like what they see and what's been done, and it really comes down to, what are you doing to maintain your own backyard? Because each person in those 50 homes gets up every day out their back window, and they see that, they see the safety. And if there was a special district, entirely possible, Mr. will tell you, SADs